We actually weren't the first bingo portal. We became the biggest bingo portal, and there were lots and lots of others around us, all of whom were slightly different to us and a slightly different niche. So you just need to focus on what you're doing and be really good at what you're doing.
Hey everybody, I am here today with Phil Fraser. And Phil, I have known you since I joined the online gambling industry 15 years ago, but most of our audience, I'm sure, will recognize you as the founder of WhichBingo. You founded this affiliate site that was dedicated to the online bingo industry. It still exists, but now under new ownership, I believe about 20 years ago.
Something like that,
yeah. Something like that. And what I really wanted to share with our audience today was the journey you went on with starting up this website and just growing it to the level that you did, and then learning how to let go of it, because I know that can be hard too. You're living the dream now. This is what a lot of affiliates want to do. And you're also doing some cool things right now that we'll talk about as well. So thank you so much. Let's take a trip down memory lane. That's how we're going to start off. I want you to tell us the story of where you came up with this idea for WhichBingo, which at the time was really groundbreaking. This was like the disruptive technology of the time.
Okay, it was. I think it's what today people would call a pivot, but at the time was an accident we fell upon. So if I take you all the way back to year 2000, I joined William Hill and launched their, what sounds a bit weird now, but their first ever online casino. And even in 2000, I remember thinking, we're a bit late to the party here, which obviously wasn't the case. While I was at William Hill, they asked me to look into online bingo as a concept, as an idea. So I did a presentation to the board, which they didn't think they'd want to do, because for William Hill at the time, they were quite an old school sports book. So the step to casino was a big one for them. And then the step to bingo would have been like way out of their comfort zone, different target audience, different product. So they didn't do it. Back end of 2000, I left and started to do some consultancy work. So I did a bit of work for Victor Chandler, did a bit of work for Mecca. And I remember talking to somebody saying, online bingo is going to be the next big thing. And then sort of 24 hours later, I thought, well, why am I telling people that why don't I go and do something about it? The start point was the presentation I'd done to William Hill. And I thought, okay, I'll take this out, the whole sort of Dragon's Den Shark Tank thing, and get some funding, and I'll launch the first ever online bingo site in the UK. Okay, so this is 2001. So 2001, if people remember, was about the time the dot-com bubble burst, about the time when gambling was very grey and we're not sure whether it's legal, is it illegal, I'm not sure. And obviously in the UK, there's two big players, Mecca and Gala. So I was presenting this idea in a market where dot-com had bust, it was slightly illegal, and people said, well, why are the big boys not doing this if this is such a brilliant idea? Huh. So my pitch for £1 million didn't happen. Okay. So, but what I'd done as part of the background to this presentation, I'd set up a very simple directory which listed all of the bingo sites at the time. There were about a dozen of them. They were all in the US. And at the front of it, I'd done a very simple, very basic pop-up asking demographics about bingo players. So age, sex, spend, how many times they played, frequency, that sort of thing. Just to pull some data together. So this brilliant idea failed. And at the time, I was still looking for a proper job. And then some of the American bingo sites started to contact me and saying, can I advertise on your website? Okay, fine, I'm cool with that. And that was the start of WhichBingo.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's a similar story for the company I used to work for, Casino City. I mean, they just created a directory. Yep. And it was crazy. It just made so much money. Once you got contacted by these American bingo sites, oh my God, I can't even believe you were the first one in the UK. That's so cool. What did you do to start? You're like, wow, I've got a good idea here. What did you do to start building the momentum and taking things forward?
So what happened? So at the time, I used something called, and again, older listeners will remember Microsoft Front Page, which was very, very basic, way before WordPress, all that sort of thing, very basic web design thing. So I started learning how to stick banners on pages. And my background was advertising sales. So I used to sell into magazines and that sort of thing. So I just used that model of, okay, I'll put your ad on this page for a month and you can pay me £200, £500, whatever the figure was. And people started to get results, so they came back, and then other people came back. And as more bingo sites joined the US market, it's sort of self-perpetuating because there's more sites, so we put the site on the website and more people to advertise. So it sort of drove itself in a way. And as it grew and grew and grew, and at the time there were 2 or 3 other portals in the US, but nobody doing it properly. So we were the only ones who were doing it with any, as I could see, with any sort of common sense or any sort of basic business thinking. And it started taking off. And it got bigger and bigger. And then it got to the point where we were in a situation where we would forward sell every 6 months. So we had like 20 advertising positions. We'd send out an email to all our clients and say, right, these are the ad positions, this is the price. What do you want to book? And they were, oh, we'll book this. And we'd be full, which was great. And then we thought, okay, well, if we build another website, we could sell space in that. So we actually built a second portal, which was slightly different. So that sort of broadened our base. And even in the early days, I got offered a couple of jobs which I turned down because I thought this thing might happen. They were quite nice jobs. I could have just said, nah, it's not going to be that big. So that was people also, you've got to see the opportunity. People have the opportunity in the lap of in the palm of your hand, and if you don't take it, it ain't going to happen. So that's sort of how it grew, and it got to. So initially, it was just myself and my wife working from home. Then we got a freelancer in, and then the freelancer came to us. This was about 2005, so we've been going 4 or 5 years by now. He said, I'm going to get a full-time job. So we thought, oh, shit, what do we do? It's a real sort of stick or twist moment. So we got an external business advisor in and said, look, this is how the business is doing. It's the first time we'd really shown it to anybody as a proper grown-up business. We just thought it was paying a few bills and a couple of holidays, and that was about it. And we showed it to this guy, and he went, go for it. So we got an office, and we took on 2 members of staff, which was the scariest thing I've ever done.
Leanne Johnston was saying.
when you take on staff, we took on 2 because we thought if we just take 1 member of staff on, it'd be a bit weird. Like a member of staff and myself, and you met Jane lots of times. It might be a bit odd. So we got 2. But then, you're responsible for them paying their mortgage and their bills, and that's like proper grown-up stuff. This was just, something that's making a bit of money. And as you referenced with the discussion I had with Leanne, every time we sort of started growing, we took another person on, but that was like quite a scary thing to do. And then another one. So we took our third person we took on about, I think it was 2 or 3 months before UIGA hit.
God. Yeah.
Right? And that wiped out 80% of our business overnight. Because by then, there was a bit of UK stuff coming. So if you remember, you probably remember it happened on a Friday night.
I remember.
Yep. We spent the whole weekend going, right, who are we going to get rid of? We had 3 members of staff at the time. And in the end, we did all the maths and just that, look, it's not going to make any difference. Losing 1 salary is not going to make a great deal of difference anyway. So by then, we built and sort of launched WhichBingo UK, because there were a few sites coming along, but the majority of the content for that was land-based bingo halls, because that was the only content we had. So in effect, we had this website waiting, and the whole industry, if you remember, the whole industry basically sort of left America and came to the UK.
Yeah.
And we sort of had this website ready going, here we are. So again, lucky in that way. And we rode the wave of the online bingo industry growing in the UK. We were fortunately right place at the right time.
Oh, I love it. So there's a few gems that you just revealed. The first one, I think, was that you made the decision to turn down some cushy, more corporate jobs to stick with this sort of dream or a project that you had, which is so cool. And then also you mentioned hiring, people. I know that when you own your own business, to take money out and to do that is really scary. But the most interesting point of all is the UEGA experience, because now I think we've had so many things thrown at us in the online gambling industry. I mean, we had Black Friday for those involved with online poker. And now we've got, the coronavirus situation where, sports weren't available for a while. Regulations are crazy. So I guess it would be, and in the UK market, it's a whole different story now. So I guess, could you explain a bit more of I know you said that weekend after UEGA, you guys were like, oh my gosh, but how did you get through the emotions of that and say, you know what, we're going to freaking go forward and we're going to make the best of this and figure out, where the next opportunity is? How did you do that?
Initially, we did it purely on a financial basis.
Right.
We sort of did the maths and said, okay, this is how much revenue is coming in. Obviously, we had a bit of stuff forward booked, and if you remember, some sites stayed in the market for about 6 months.
Yep.
And they eased us out, and we did the maths, and we looked at the 3 salaries we had at the time, and said, well, divide it by 12. It's a month's notice. How much are you really going to save? So we just flew on the seat of our pants on that one. And it worked. Unfortunately, one of the guys was still with us the day we sold.
Oh my God.
Those 3.
Oh, that says a lot about your management right there. I love that. And when you and I started working together quite a bit was actually, in this present position that I have now with CalvinAir.com, because I was coming to your conferences. You guys grew from an affiliate site to putting on events, awards. It was like the go-to event for anyone in online bingo, which is so amazing. Can you talk to me about how you made that transition from just doing everything as an affiliate site to holding events?
Well, we'd always, right from the start, we'd always positioned ourselves as the bingo authority. And what we'd done as our USP was we would list every single bingo site that there was, whether we were an affiliate of theirs or not. So the idea was, you come to our site, you find whatever site it is. If we get money out of the click, great. If we don't, it doesn't matter, because they've seen that we've got every single site here, so they might go somewhere else. So we always positioned ourselves as that authority site. And what we'd done, and again, it's a historical thing and it's slightly accidental. Very, very early on, we realized bingo players they used to pick their sites because they got attached to their chat managers. So we did this vote, we did chat manager of the month originally, just basically trying to drive some traffic. Which then got bigger and bigger and bigger. We thought, we'll do this as an annual thing. So we actually then hived it off as a site called CMO of the Year. And then we did a site of the year, but it was like just a little banner. So we'd email somebody, you've won site of the year. They go, thank you very much. And it sort of grew and it grew. And then we had new site of the year. And again, it was still votes by the players. And then it'd be, here's a banner to put on your site. And in very simple terms, there's a bit of PR. And maybe hopefully an incoming link. And that was sort of it. And it sort of grew and grew and grew. And then for a couple of years, we had an internal discussion about whether we should do this as an event. And I was, nobody, you look at sort of EGR and all EIG and all and all the stuff that used to be in Canada, Gigsy in Canada, all that. I was like, nobody's going to come to our event. So eventually I got sort of browbeaten into it by the team, and they said, and Wayne, you met Wayne lots of times, and Wayne was sort of one of the ones who was going on about it, and he said, right, we'll do it. And I was like, shit, how'd you put on an event? Where'd you start? and then it was like, okay, and it was but it followed on the whole positioning as the authority in the industry, and that's where it came from. And the first one we did, which I think you came to, was at the top of some big tower in London overlooking the wheel. And it was mental. It was absolutely brilliant. And everyone was desperate to come along and desperate to win an award and all that sort of thing. So it just From a brand position, it was brilliant. An awareness position, it was brilliant. From a traffic position, it was brilliant because people had to come in to vote and all that sort of thing. So it just ticked lots and lots of boxes. And as I say, it wasn't my idea. It was the team that executed it, and they browbeat me into doing it. So I can't claim any glory for that at all.
And a little shout out for Wayne. I remember him telling me that he was so excited the night before the awards that he couldn't sleep. It was, he was such a sweetheart and just loved what he was doing so much. And I think that's another reason why people felt so drawn to your events, because it was so clear that this was a passion. It wasn't just a moneymaker. You weren't just parachuting in to try and make a quick buck, right? I mean, listening to you talk now, it's so cool to hear the story. And so then, Phil, how did you decide you wanted to be bought? Were you trying to, I don't know if you could even say that, but well, maybe it's better to say, how did you hit the point where you were like, oh my God, like I might be selling this? Where was that in your journey?
So there's two bits to the journey.
Okay.
So around, just to get the dates right, it must have been around 2010. We got to the point where the business was going really well. And it's not meant to sound arrogant, but I got a bit bored with the business. It was making money. It was working. So I thought, well, let's try and sell it. So we actually had it on the market. We had a plan A and a plan B. And plan A was to sell. Plan B was actually to get somebody in to run it for us and step back. We got very, very close to selling, and we got an offer on the table, which was okay. And then eventually, between the two of us, myself and my wife just said, no, can't do it. So we got somebody in as a manager, which is Simon, who again, met lots of times. Which allowed me to step back, and Simon took on a bit more of, as it grew more and more and more, to the point where towards the end he was like, just go away on holiday, leave me alone. If there's a problem, I'll tell you about it. If not, just leave me alone, which was great. And he was brilliant at that. And over the years, all the way back, people had often sort of knocked on the door and said, we'd be interested in talking about selling, about buying you. And as with any business, you put enough money on the table. Yeah, of course it's not for sale, but you put some money on, and nobody over those years had put any money on the table. So fast forward to end of 2017, and by then, if you remember, the market was very acquisitive. We had about half a dozen big acquirers who were just snapping everybody up. And one of them contacted us and said, we'd like, and the other thing that was interesting was, a lot of the numbers were public, so we knew sort of what the multiples were and where the market price was. So one of the acquisitors contacted us and said, we'd like to buy you and we'll give you this much money. We went, oh, that's nice, that's enough. So we went down to London, had a meeting with them, and then the big number they'd mentioned wasn't as big as they really mentioned, and it was yes, but, well, possibly, right? And by then we'd sort of thought, all right, the market's moving. And somebody had actually said to me, look, all these businesses have got a big wall of money, but they won't have it forever. So the opportunity's there. And then on the other hand, my thought was, okay, well, if they're going to buy one bingo site, if they buy one of our competitors, then they're not going to want to buy us. So anyway, so I contacted all the other bigger affiliates and said, look, we're not for sale, but if you want to talk to us now, might be a good idea to talk. One of them contacted us, said, yes, we're interested. We got quite a long way down the line, and I'm very much a man of my word. And it was a week before we were signing heads of terms. And then one of the other guys I'd spoken to, which turns out to be XL Media, obviously, contacted me and said, oh, we're interested as well. And I said, well, look, we are, I've sort of given my word to these guys. You've got to really make a difference for me to change horse, because I don't like to do that sort of thing. So they went away, came back with a better deal and a better structured deal. And that was the way it happened. And interestingly, I did the deal with the CEO, who, Ori, over the phone, verbally. And then we left it to the lawyers, and it took another 5 months or so, 4 months or something.
Oh my gosh. What an interesting story. I love that. I mean, like I said, it's like living the dream. I know there's so many people that would love to be able to tell a story like that, Phil. And obviously, it must have been an emotional time for you when you did that.
Yeah.
But I know that you probably could have gone off to some island somewhere and just done, read a book or whatever. But you're still, on the periphery of our space, still doing some exciting work.
Yep.
So can you share with us how you took all of this experience and knowledge of this journey with WhichBingo and how you're applying it to, what you're doing today?
Okay, so I had went away, sat by the pool for 3 months, not doing anything at all, and then thought, well, what do I want to do? And actually, what I enjoy is I actually enjoy business. So quite a few pals of mine run businesses, and I'd sat down with them over the last 18 months, 2 years, and just bouncing ideas around with them and go, well, you've sold your business. What's it like? How does it work? Or I've got this problem. How would you deal with it? Or, would you give me some advice on this, that, and the other? And I thought, actually, I quite enjoy doing that. So I thought, okay, rather than just doing it with pals for free, I've got a lot of experience. I can bring this to other people. So I'm now working as what I call a business sounding board. It's sort of somewhere between a mentor, a coach, and a non-exec director. And it's exactly that. It's a sounding board. It's a bit of a cliche that it's lonely at the top. But a lot of people who run their own businesses, you get to certain points where you just need to throw things around and go, does this sound like a stupid idea? Or I've got 3 options. Which way should I go? Should I go this way, this way, this way? Or I'm thinking of this, but this might happen. And actually just having somebody who's been in the same position as them to talk it through, and that's what I'm doing.
Oh, I think that's great. And the thing that's so special about you, Phil, is you're so personable and easy to talk to. So I think, people, a lot of people that have done quite well in our industry, maybe have a different sort of attitude, but I think that this is a really great fit for you. So cool. And I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to share with our audience, especially for those who are, they're just starting their own business, and this market now is very different, especially in the UK, is a lot of challenges, especially, the future is a bit uncertain right now, very uncertain. Any words of wisdom or final thoughts that you wanted to share with our audience?
I think whatever you do as a business, I think you need a clear direction. And this is where, when I work as a sounding board with people, my first question is always, what does perfect look like in 12 months' time? And once you've said that then determines some of the things you put in place. So you have to have a clear goal. I think you need to have something, it doesn't have to be unique, but you have to focus on a niche. So for example, in our market, we actually weren't the first bingo portal. We became the biggest bingo portal, and there were lots and lots of others around us, all of whom were slightly different to us and a slightly different niche. So you just need to focus on what you're doing and be really good at what you're doing. And, one of the most exciting parts of our journey was the night we saw on a screen that somebody, through an affiliate program, had spent $6. That was the first $6 we earned, and we were I remember myself, my wife, had a small baby at the time, jumping around the room, going, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!" And it's so people look at WhichBingo, and we sold, for what have we sold for? But you have to take the first step, and it takes time, and things will work and things won't work. But if you keep going in the right direction, you believe in what you're doing, hopefully you'll get there. So it's a clear thinking is one of the key things, I think.
Oh, amazing, Phil. I can't tell you how happy it's made me to talk with you today, to talk about all these incredible memories, talk about Ori and Simon and Wayne and all these amazing personalities. Thank you so much. And I'm so pleased you're still around. We would miss you greatly if you weren't.
Can I give a shout out to Wayne, because he's now doing something called Bingo Data. So if you go to bingodata.co.uk, he's doing some really fantastic stuff about the market and the size of the market and all that sort of stuff. So it might be worth speaking to Wayne as well.
Outstanding. I will do just that. Phil, thank you so much. And hopefully I'll get to see you soon
Yeah,
one of
see you
these days.
soon.
And thank you guys so much for watching. This is Becky Liggero with Phil Fraser. Thanks for watching CalvinEra.com.